you've ever played a game like 2-on-2, Risk, something of that nature, where you have pieces on the board and you roll dice to determine who wins combats and takes over parts of a map, like a game board. Miniature gaming is pretty much that, except a little bit more complicated.
The first time I saw Warhammer in a store, the entire battlefield, all like lovingly recreated in these miniatures like a model railroad, but it was a game that you could play.
No matter what miniature game you're playing, is you're fighting for board space towards an end goal. So whether that's controlling certain space on the board to taking one of your opponent's pieces.
Miniatures gaming has been literally with me every step of my life. Because of the dojo, because of the people I know here, it's what I'm doing.
Nothing can get you that kind of childhood nostalgia of like a foam hill with some army men on top of it. I don't even know how else to describe it.
It's pretty awesome to have that first feeling of like, hey, I painted this character myself.
Because painted miniatures look a lot better than not painted miniatures. And that's the coolest stuff ever, because basically we're all giant children. At heart. Which is rad.
Describe Mark Howard in one sentence. Somebody who's never met Mark.
So who'd never met Mark before. Kind of like a cult leader type persona. Just absolute fucking ridiculous. Just a ridiculous human.
Mark is a de facto leader of the dojo.
He is the madness behind the group.
Where we're going, you're not going to need eyes to see.
That's fucking garbage. Good work, baby.
I'm Mark Howard. I'm from South Jersey. I've been playing games since I was 12. I'm 35, so many, many years, almost 2 decades.
We'll do this combat real quick to just know how fucked I am. D6 plus 12, 15.
The dojo is kind of like a, we call it basically like a gaming group. It's really just a front for my sex dungeon. No, I'm just kidding. So,
The dojo in one word is gonna be, that's tough. I would say chaotic. A chaotic family, if I had 2 words.
Chaos.
A while back, I was playing a game and I didn't have that many people to play with at the time. There was maybe 5 people in a gaming store. And there was a guy there who was like, well, I want to run a tournament, but each round you just play 1 game a week. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And they stopped doing it. So I was like, I'll do it. We started with 5 people, and then more people came in, and more people came in. Then I started running it out of my house. It turned into something that suddenly there was 15 to 20 people in my house on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. We were all playing as this giant gaming group. Then we'd start going to conventions and tournaments together. You have a bunch of us in rooms. It looks like a hotel party, but it's just a bunch of nerds staying in a hotel to play games. And initially it was just, oh, this is our South Jersey group. Then I met my friend Brad. He jumped on it and started calling it the Mark Howard Dojo. And I was like, hey man, I sound like a cultist. What if we just called it the South Jersey Dojo? And he went, no. suddenly that was on Facebook posts. We'd start going to cons, and people would be like, "Are you part of the weird Mark Howard thing?" And I was like, "I am Mark Howard."
We all want to generally spend as much time with each other as we can. And that culminates in about once a week, but if it was more often that between work schedules and family life, pretty sure we would all do more.
It's pretty cool because it's kind of like a giant community of like-minded humans. So not as many people really have that in their lives, I would say, but at any given moment, if I want to talk about one of the things I'm very, very passionate about in my life, I can jump on Facebook Messenger or call somebody and just kind of talk about it with 20 plus people.
I won't be able to freeze them. A lot of my frozen things are dead.
Dad is going to attempt to... all right.
Defense 4? Similar to chess, a lot of the beginning of the game is getting pieces out so that they have more of an influence on the board. They're able to work towards your goal.
A lot of people, when they look at tabletop games, they think something like chess where you have squares. And then we start our turn 1, and I pull out a tape measure, and I'm like, all right, this unit here, I'm gonna pick up, and I'm just gonna move it right here, 12 inches. Everything has its own number of inches it can move. So like guys on horses can move faster than guys on foot. And that blows people's minds normally right off the bat. I have all of my rules I have to know for my models. And now that I'm starting to play against different models, I have to know their rules too. You have a model that's capable of doing like 10 different things on the board, and you have to just know that.
Are they crush 1? Crush 1, they have like Fury. Okay, are they defense 5 or 4? 5, okay. Hit on 3s? Gnarly. Gnarly. Oof.
If you know I'm gonna have to do this many wounds on average to take a piece off of the board, you're gonna have to calculate that in your head. You'll be doing that probability probably every 20 seconds. The dice aspect of determining what unit is fighting what and how they do it, that normally takes people a while to kind of get a hang of. Though picking up tons of dice and throwing dice, people get into that real quick, because that's fun as hell. I myself have sat there at work on break, calculating dice math in my head of, if I fight this person's army, I have this unit versus this one, how am I gonna win that? And I'll sit there and calculate how many attacks I'll get and all that stuff to beat that unit. I don't think most people do that on average on their lunch breaks, but I do. My mom used to say that to me growing up all the time. She's like, how do you know all these things? To this day, my mom still says that to me. I'm 35. It's awesome.
I think one of the biggest things for me anyway is the first time you have a fully painted army, there's just, I don't know, every single time you play, now you're looking at these models that are fully painted, you did it from ground up yourself, the sense of accomplishment, I suppose, and they're painted the exact way you wanted to paint them, and it's very individualistic to you. You know, it says things about you. So I just liked that. And then of course, you start playing against people who don't have painted miniatures and you look at yours and you're just like, oh man, my shit looks really good. They didn't even try. And on a tabletop, when you have 2 people playing a game and they both have their individualized armies that they painted on the table, and you have a table that has painted terrain and that looks all cool, it's a hell of a sight to see.
My name is Gabe Toth, and I play for the Mark Howard Dojo, and I live in Fishtown, Philadelphia. I started painting for miniatures when I was 9 years old, and I believe in the tabletop theater aspect of miniature board games. Okay, here am I. I call them crystal dwarves, and it's because I 3D printed all of these guys. Everything here is 3D printed from a bunch of different STLs, but then I did a lot of it in clear resin that I mixed UV pigment powder in with. And these LEDs that I hid in here actually activate that pigment powder. So when I turn the LEDs off, it'll kind of glow with an eerie light. That's what I was going for theme-wise. The way that I modeled these is kind of to look very diorama-esque. So instead of having blocks of guys, I sculpted a staircase out of foam and then did a marbling pattern on it. Look like marble steps in the snow, and then have my guys coming down it. Their whole idea behind this is that they worship these crystals, and so I have a statue carved out of that crystal here, which is where the LEDs are coming from. I put maybe about, I would say 50, 60 hours printing, and then 100, 150 hours like painting and putting stuff together and kind of wiring it, maybe more. Maybe a little bit more than that.
The artistic side is really cool because you have a spectrum. You have everybody from a guy who shows up with his models to play games and he's like, painting miniatures is stupid, and if you're doing that, you're a waste of life. And you're like, awesome. And then you have the other person who is like, yeah, I finished this miniature. And you're like, oh, when did you start painting it? And they're like, 3 months ago. And you're like, you spent 3 months on and off, like a few hours per day painting like a single miniature this big? They're like, yeah. And they love it. And they might not even play the game that much. They just love to paint miniatures.
All right, I warn you, this is bad. Not even from a miniature standpoint, we are not organized people. All right, so you go into the 7th circle of hell. I don't even know if this light bulb works, but we'll try for it. Oh, it does. There's some terrain. This is just a box of shit, just stuff. It's got cards, random miniatures, old card games.
So nerds have a hoarder mentalities.
I am a hoarder. That I will freely admit that I'm a hoarder.
This is where it starts to get pretty rough too. So I'd say roughly almost $1,000 of miniatures probably just in that alone. These are just collections of stuff from different ranges. So I have like a whole entire army here, once again, unopened.
I don't like talking about my collection. I'm not embarrassed about it, but I don't know how I let it get to the point that it's at. It's pretty insane.
There's a plexiglass case I had made for my Menoth.
When I met my wife, I had like a 2-bedroom apartment and I had like a walk-in closet. And this walk-in closet was just filled with fucking models, like just filled with models.
Some of it I just don't know what it is. But we'll look together. It just goes on and on and on.
I hid it from her. She had no idea that I did this stuff. It wasn't like socially acceptable, like kind of where it is now.
That is a giant that I painted when I was like, I don't know, 15, 16.
She was staying over my house, like we'd been dating for like 3 or 4 weeks, and she opened my closet, like, because she was looking for like a towel, and walked in, and she just had this look on her face. And like, I didn't know what to fucking do. Like, I froze.
Oh, but wait, there's more. Jesus.
I have to go through like this fucking explanation as to like, all right, so these are like orcs and they're like painted and like, this is like why I did this.
Follow me. Let's continue into the madness.
And like, it's not for my, like, you know, for my son, because it's like a lot. And like, but like you measure in inches and like you push models around and like, but there's like scenarios. So, and you roll dice.
Yeah, so there's more of it. There's Undead 2. I've started having to have multiples. Ugh. I don't think there's as much in this, but same thing, just more. As you can see, I do a lot of zombies.
She was tolerant of it. but it was just like a ridiculous amount. An embarrassingly large amount, just stacked on top of each other, and it filled this 5x5 walk-in closet. Like, it was a lot.
Yeah, if you wanted to see miniatures, I got all of them. I'm not gonna throw out a single goddamn thing. It's all coming to whatever new basement I have. If I don't have a basement, look out, living room, you're getting fucked up. There's a stigma about playing these games and things like Dungeons & Dragons and stuff like that, that growing up you were a total nerd. If you played those, people make fun of you, things like that.
Yeah, whenever I sit down and paint stuff, I just always think of that part in 40-year-old version where he's going through his hobbies. And he's just like, and now I'm painting your pants blue on the little war miniature he's doing.
Now I am making your silver pants blue.
And I'm like, wow. Is that how we look when we do that? I mean, it pretty much is, I guess, in the end. So I think about that constantly, and I'm just like, God damn it. It sucks. It sucks so much.
I know when I am at work, at the table, and we have to do these icebreakers, and they go around, and it's always, tell us something that nobody knows about you. And I always have to pick, well, I went to Europe to play on a Team USA for a miniature game, and everybody stares at me like I just took off my clothes and ran around the room 6 times. And they have no concept of what this is and what it is that we do and why we do it.
Still good, though. Still inspired for what it's worth. The angle.
You don't realize how much people probably need community.
2 wounds, that's way better than I expected. So 7. All right.
So Nav with his 5 blizzard attacks.
It could be you're around your coworkers all the time, or you're super into seeing your family a lot. For me, it's hanging out with the gaming community.
Up to 9. Oh no! It's fine. It's fine. This is 7. Bottom is 7. There's nothing else.
I have my immediate family, but I've never really been close to my overall, aunts, uncles, nephews. I don't really have a lot of those that I talk to. Some of that is kind of strange because they're what I would consider into very normal-esque things that most general people are. So the gaming thing, a lot of them have never really gotten it.
Hi, Derek. Hi, boy. How are you?
You really are the cult leader. Yeah, I'm not here to win. You're only going to be it's more fucking sorry with the Bears.
Finding all these gamers and all these people that still play it in my age groups and things like that has been kind of wonderful. It's really like a second family to me, honestly. No joke.
You're at stakes twice
Oh,
now.
no.
Start.
Oh no!
Do you want to do it? Stakes to lose the game. Tie. Good shit.
Oh yeah.
This is a hobby that requires you to be face-to-face up against another person. And I think that strengthens that bond that we have.
If anybody ever thought being a nerd, you just sit in your house and don't do anything, tabletop gaming is not that. You're gonna go out, play people, hang out, form friendships. Some of them, they'll last your whole life.
It's in the moments around the game that you find the friendships you keep through it.
Playing games, whether you're 12 or 60, can be really, really fun. Everybody's the same. Everybody has the same responsibilities for the most part, and it's just there to have fun and hang out with a bunch of like-minded people. You're a 16-year-old kid playing tabletop games with your friends down in your basement again. You don't have to worry about anything in the world. You're just there. Deep down, that's a weird nostalgia feeling of what everybody gets from gaming. And I think there's something really special about that. Something that I wouldn't trade for the world.